Pulp MX Network production.
Bringing you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly. It's the LVK More Than Moto podcast with your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Leatt LVK More Than Moto podcast. I'm Kellen Brauer, joined by Lewis Phillips, and what a weekend it was in St. Louis for round 2 of the Super Motocross World Championship. There was drama, there was different race winners, and there was a lot of different championship scenarios that have now changed heading into the finale. We'll talk about all of that and more here today on the podcast. But first up, Lewis, how are you doing, good sir? How was your Monday after a weekend in the Big Lou?
I don't know if it's because we were in a stadium, but I feel very odd this week. Feels like a different week, different experience. And I think it's because we were back in a stadium for the first time.
Like, you feel more refreshed because we weren't as hot?
I feel
off.
I feel like I'm checking over my shoulder a little bit. Like, it feels like something's gone awry that I don't know about.
Okay. So, yeah, St. Louis was the first time that we actually have been inside of a stadium, except for, I mean, I guess the last round of SMX in 23, you could say that with the Coliseum. But
I don't count the Coliseum.
No?
Because I know it was, but it's not a traditional Supercross venue. So it's very similar to Charlotte Drag Strip in my mind, just because it is something completely different, even though it bears resemblance to a stadium. And also, the configuration of that stadium is unlike any Supercross stadium we have. So, yes, I guess technically it passes as we had a Supercross setting, but I certainly don't count it.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse here because I know this might be a topic, but the whole like being inside of a dome and the stadium and stuff, like, to me, it just added way more effect from an SMX standpoint, like way more fanfare and pyrotechnics and all that stuff made it a little bit more presentable, I feel like, to the sport as a whole. So I liked it. Like, it felt like we were actually kind of in the playoffs again with this, but I don't know how you felt about it.
I liked it, but watch this space because this is one of my topics.
For sure. All right, so I guess we should just get into the show, right? No, we don't need to do much bantering today because there is plenty to talk about. Again, it's all brought to you by Leatt, Racetech, Namura, and Partzilla. We'll tell you all about them throughout the show. And we have to lead off with this. I mean, it's just the reality of where we are because this is the most dramatic thing to come from St. Louis. Levi Kitchen takes out Haiden Deegan in the second race and begins a bunch of drama-filled online postings and other things from fans so far, but not a lot to be said from either rider. I'll just lead off by saying that Kitchen did have a social media post go up about 30 minutes ago where he said, as far as the incident in Moto 2, there's a lot of money on the line. Had I stayed up and got on the podium, I'd be back in this thing with an opportunity to make great money in Vegas. Love me or hate me, I'm racing for myself and myself only. And, of course, Haiden Deegan in the Yamaha PR said, I won the first moto and got into a little altercation in the second one. It is what it is. It's racing. So first off, Big Lou, now that we've had 2 days to digest this a little bit, what's your reaction to the pass attempt that was and everything that's happened since?
Well, first of all, if Levi Kitchen does this to Daxton Bennett, Tom Vialle, Nate Thrasher, does it even move the needle? Does anyone care?
No, but I think that that's maybe the biggest part of this whole thing is that people have this differentiating opinion of, is Levi Kitchen actually in the championship fight or not, because he just took out a championship contender, which I have a disagreement with on that. But obviously Deegan's involvement is massive in this, but also the fact that he is the championship leader and was taken out by someone that people deem not to have been in the championship seems to be the narrative here.
Does that mean then that the pass actually wasn't that bad? Because otherwise it would be slammed no matter who it was on either end.
Well, this is what I think about it, right? And a lot of people don't, I guess, see as much of this because they're not in the stadium, and so you don't always see all the passes that are happening outside of the top 5 or et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like we do see passes similar to that more often than ever gets credit for. Obviously, this one had a little bit more intention behind it, but did we not see block pass attempts like that for 9th place in heat races and like all that stuff all the time? It just doesn't always get this built behind it because it doesn't have 3 replays and we don't get to digest it as much as this.
Yeah, and it doesn't always end as dramatically with a rider in another section and whatnot. I think that the fact that Deegan was already on the power exiting the turn added to the theatrics of him shooting off the track, and that in turn made it seem much more dramatic. If it was slower speed and Deegan had fell on top of Kitchen, which is typically how that would go, I don't think it really comes across that bad. It is just a takeout. I don't think the dirty tag is really flying around as much. But yeah, from someone I know who spoke to Haiden said he's going to stay quiet this week. I don't know what that means exactly or how you define that. But yeah, Kitchen's not. He's on the PR trail with Pulp tonight and AC and JB show tomorrow and whatnot. So he's not wasting any time. But curiously, the AC and JB show has Brent Duffy and Kitchen, not Haiden, which does support that Haiden kind of isn't really getting in front of the camera on this one.
Well, I mean, their vlog isn't normally supposed to come out till tomorrow based on previous lineage of when they post vlogs from a race weekend, but that's obviously not up yet. And then Haiden himself has not made a social post, which is a little odd. Normally he's fairly quick on the draw after a racing evening to post something about the day, but all we have is a PR quote. So I think you're right. I mean, I think he is going to stay quiet about it and kind of silent assassin this thing just a little bit, but that's probably the right move, right? Like, I don't think that, as much as he does normally like to stir the pot, I don't think that coming out and making this whole thing bigger is going to help his chances at trying to win this title this weekend.
Yeah, but equally, I guess he almost has license to stir the pot because he's a victim. He actually did nothing wrong, which is rare for him. So this is almost the situation he's been waiting for, to play victim, stir up the controversy, because no one can point the finger at him.
Yeah,
which is rare.
Can I ask you on your level of shock value with this though, where you're at? Because to me, as many people have said since this has happened, and off the record with a lot of different riders and past riders and stuff like that, it kind of has that feeling that this was going to happen to Haiden at some point. Whether it was going to be Kitchen or Shimoda or whoever, who knows who it was going to be, and it turns out to be Kitchen. But I'm not that surprised that a move like this happened to Haiden Deegan. Where are you with that?
Well, again, did this happen to Haiden Deegan because it was an attack on Haiden Deegan? Or was Kitchen just making a pass on the rider in front of him, which happened to be Deegan?
No,
I think I lean on the latter.
No, I'm on the form. I think this is totally Kitchen going at Deegan.
Well, his Instagram post kind of debunks that.
Not necessarily, because look at it. If you're in Kitchen shoes here and you go take out the championship leader with a lot of money on the line, and as he said it, if he got on the podium, he's definitely still in this. That's another thing that's really irked me about the fan reaction to this, is that the emphasis that Kitchen was not in a championship fight. He is, because there's double points at that particular race and then triple points at the finale. And if he gets on the podium, he'd only be about 10 back of Haiden right now. Instead, he's 25 or so. But if he got on the podium, this whole thing changes, because then he goes into the final race with a chance to win $500,000, which is what these guys, that's the whole point of what SMX is supposed to be, is that these guys care a little bit more and take it that much further for the glory of winning this championship, because they put the money on the line for them to go for it. So that's where I disagree with the blowback of this, of saying Kitchen's not in this, he's never in it, blah, 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 blah. He was fast all day long and was fast in the first moto coming through a little bit. And if he gets on the podium, you go into Vegas with a chance at winning $500,000. So I think that's where his logic was with this.
I would think that the notion that Kitchen wasn't in the title fight comes from the fact that Kitchen hasn't been comparable to Deegan at all in 2025. So in recent memory, there isn't something for people to lean on as Kitchen and Deegs going head to head. So Kitchen does seem in the vein of 2025 insignificant compared to Deegan. I'm not saying that's true.
Well, I will hit back on that because, okay, yes, he hasn't been in the picture since he broke his neck at Daytona, but if you go back to Detroit, he was going to finish second. He ends up winning because of the red flag thing. And then
I said compared to Deegan. Deegan wasn't on that coast. That's my point.
Here's what I'm saying. I would say he was the fastest rider on track at Daytona. when he crashed. So let's just say, for the clarity's sake here, that he goes on to get on the box again at Daytona, or maybe even win the damn thing. The very next week was Indy, which was a showdown. And I think all of us at that point in time, having seen what Kitchen was doing up to that point, would have said, I mean, which coast is going to be better? Levi Kitchen, Max Anstey, they looking great. What about Deegan and Beaumaire? Like, I think that those would have been comparisons that would have been made before his injury. The injury has changed the status quo, but that's where I disagree. I think Kitchen deserves a little bit more credit for the raw speed that he possesses that people are just discrediting for.
Yeah, that's fine, and I don't disagree with that, but I think that's all ifs and buts where Candy and Nuts would all have a Merry Christmas. Like, ultimately, the situation we found ourselves in is when Deegan and Kitchen share the track in 2025, Kitchen has had nothing for Deegan, which means that in the casual fan eye, when this incident goes down, to them, it looks like a rider who isn't going to have anything for Deegan anyway doing something dumb. Which, again, I'm not saying I agree with any of that, but I do sympathize, if that's the word, with the fact that some fans would see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they would aesthetically look at that, because he hasn't been very close all summer, and then obviously he hasn't been close at the first round and a half up to this point. But I mean, again, he was going to take his chance, and he went for it, and that's the end result. Let's talk about a little bit of the fallout from this. Obviously, AMA goes in and gives him a warning. Now, this is just a preemptive thing where if it happens again, they have the ability to penalize him, because that's the whole way that they frame this now. But then the AMA didn't really get involved as much with the RJ and Seth thing, which is what Mitch Payton, I talked to him after the race. He was kind of upset at that logic a little bit. I don't know that I agree or disagree. I feel like this one seemed a little bit like more intentional. But what do we feel about like AMA getting involved in these like block passy type situations?
I was surprised that the fallout came out so quickly. I think the Instagram post went up about the written warning during 450 Moto 2.
I think so,
that
yeah.
happened quite quickly. I don't know. I don't think... Is it needed? Probably not. I mean, the fact that they went public with a penalty has stoked the fire a lot, because that's just made it seem also much more dramatic. But I don't know. Do they need to get involved? I don't really think I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a crossover point where they say they will need to be involved, because if this continues, like if for whatever reason they go at each other again in Vegas, that carries over into 2026 of any kind of form. Like, they want to probably jump in front of that a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, this was a takeout for sure, but does it need to have the aggressive warning? I don't know. But well, here's another thing too about the AMA. In the past, like, track record has showed that they very much do not like retaliation. So if someone starts it and the other person finishes it, they don't like the person finishing it. So now Deegan's in a position where, you know, he's supposed to be the one that finishes it, if you will. If he does go at Kitchen next week, doesn't the AMA kind of have to stick to their guns a little bit in this?
Is Deegan on probation from any of his previous incidents? I don't think so.
Didn't they do something with the Davies thing, or did that end up not materializing?
I honestly can't remember off the top of my head any incident that promoted a written warning towards Deegan. But if he is on probation, that could loom large in the Shimoda battle as well.
It says he was fined, but that was for his post-race comments.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that was all that happened, wasn't it?
Code of conduct violation. No. Written warning. Overly aggressive riding. 250 main event. Haiden Deegan. So there you go. Not on probation, but he got the written warning. The same thing the Kitchen had. Yeah,
that means that Kitchen and Deegan are both on strike 1, and strike 2 could loom large in the points come the finals. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's almost like a bit of a, to use your phrase, watch this space thing. Because if he does retaliate and then wins the title, doesn't this kind of, I don't know, make it a little bit more on the AMA to, again, stick to their guns, I guess?
No, because I think they've got a track record of going, oh, it was for a title.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
But I mean, if he takes out Kitchen, who, again, as many people assume, is not in the title hunt, that's not for a title, he's ahead of him. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, because the written warnings are in place, as you said, with Deegan from Denver too. So I don't know. This is going to be really interesting to see what happens in Vegas, I think.
One thing I am so sure of is if Deegs comes back to win this championship against all odds a little bit, because, he needs some help, the podium speech is going to be all time.
Yeah.
It is going to be like a Deegs greatest hits.
All
of them are going to come out in once.
Are you bummed at all that in some shape or form we couldn't get JT or someone in the pits to at least get post-race reaction from either of them?
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Does that normally happen? Probably not.
No, but again, like just looking around, I feel like if this did happen in, say, NASCAR or something, yeah, they would definitely be trying to get actual reaction from somebody. I don't know who, like
they got Davies
or whatever.
in Denver.
Huh?
They got Davies in Denver, so they have done it before.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, I think that clearly was the big story, and I think people felt like TV went off the air and they were asking for more information. And obviously, by the time you and I got to the pits, everybody was gone. I felt very lucky to even find Mitch Payton there still. So, yeah, it feels like we were left a little bit on the edge of our seats for real, reaction to this.
Well, speaking of code of conduct violations, Kellen, I think one could be coming your way.
I'm sure it will be. Yeah.
No interviews in the pits. I left. I adhered to the rules. Journalist of the year. I played by the rule book. Colored between the lines.
Well, I interviewed everybody I possibly could at the scrum, to the point that I was the last person that I saw walking out of there. No one else was still at the scrum, and I just happened to find Mitch in the pits, and I felt like someone needed to get reaction from these guys. So if they want to ban me, whatever.
I don't think I did a very good job with the scrum.
Why?
I missed Ferrandis. I missed Masterpool. I missed someone else.
Yeah, but you got Jet and I didn't. So
yeah, I don't really know how I got Jet, to be honest.
What did Tati say when you got him?
She said, I didn't ask. She said,
but I thought she tapped you on the shoulder and said,
Lewis.
"Oh, really?"
Yeah. I went, okay.
It makes me feel stupid. Like I should have stood right behind you, but I was just like, well, I think I started with RJ, and then I looked over and Jet was gone by the time I was done with RJ. So,
well, this is the issue with it, because after Jet, I really wanted Tom for obvious reasons, and you were interviewing Tom, and RJ was just stood there, and I was like, do I just wait for Tom, or do I interview RJ and hope that Tom's still here? So I interviewed RJ, kept it kind of short just to get to Tom, and then literally Tom was walking out, and I just went, Tom, one more? So, like, I very nearly missed out on Tom as well, which would have hurt me, because Tom was my best interview by far. I think he was everyone's best interview.
Well, this conversation carries us fabulously into our second topic of the day. Before we do that, I want to tell you guys about Leatt. Leatt Protection is in our brand DNA. It started 20 years ago with the groundbreaking Leatt neck brace and continues today with an extensive product offering of protective gear and riding apparel. But what Leatt really stands for is inspiring confidence and ensuring safety with every ride. And again, a big thanks to Leatt for backing the show. Head over to Leatt.com. Check out their 6.5 neck brace, new and improved on their old model, and thanks again for supporting the show. All right, second topic, Big Lou. I kind of wanted to just riff on both Tom Vialle and Chase Sexton. Each of them had issues, so to speak, in one of their mains. Obviously, for Vialle, it happened in race 1, Sexton in race 2. So let's start with Vialle, who you mentioned we both spoke to post-race. Said it was a fork issue, wasn't comfortable. Said, to me at least, I don't know what he said to you, that's the most uncomfortable he's ever felt with the fork on his bike ever. And then rebounds to win the second race. So clearly the window of opportunity that these guys are trying to find within the KTM is not good right now.
Yes. Is it surprising? No. I mean, the KTM tale of 2025 has been one of sorrow and dismay and negativity. And actually, I think KTM should have done a little bit more to counteract all of this. I am actually annoyed at myself, because I should have, everyone would not want me to do this, but I should have been a rebel like Kellen, followed his bad example, and tried to find Ian Harrison, because Ian Harrison would have been the interview to get on this night.
Yeah.
I should have let Kellen lead me astray into drugs and alcohol and violence.
Admittedly, from my standpoint, I actually forgot the KTM was so far at the back of the pits, because when I interviewed Mitch, I looked around at all the trucks and noticed that like basically every other truck was gone except HEP. And so I'm like, oh, everyone's gone. But KTM, I forgot, was at the very back of the pit. So bad on me too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until afterwards, but I was waiting for Chase to reply to me, so I was fixated on a potential Chase interview.
No reply?
No, he replied. No, Kellen, he replied. It was just a little bit too late.
Okay.
I was actually quite impressed because I genuinely did not expect to reply, and then there he was.
Well, let's talk about Chase then for a second. Friday before the free practice and everything, they go up on stage for the press conference, and I asked Chase about how he's finding the window of the KTM to be for super motocross, and he replied that he doesn't feel like it's a very good window. He's still working through some things and stuff, but he also did say that the last couple of weeks before SMX are some of his best times on a KTM thus far with testing and all that. So I don't know where we're at. I don't really know yet what happened at the end of race 2. I'm not sure if you have more insight on that or not, but questions.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows. I did talk to him, but I didn't hit him with question. We were more just talking generally. But we know he didn't crash. We know that after the finish, he looked down at the bike. So I would guess that there was some sort of bike issue, shock issue, flat tire, which I think has been debunked. Something like that. I mean, shock? Would we be surprised? No, we wouldn't.
No, we wouldn't. But as I remember it, when he was rolling around after the finish, it didn't look like it had nothing in it. Like it didn't look like he had the rear tire up against the fender just rolling around the track.
No,
so,
I don't think it was to that degree. But, just the shock problems that him and Vialle have been having.
But do you not find it interesting that, okay, so it's a shock problem, and I get it, you don't want to jump stuff and all that, but a 25-second slower lap time, like he must have rolled everything and basically not been on the gas anywhere else.
Well, yeah, I wonder if there was a little bit of I'm officially over this situation.
Maybe.
I'm not going to try and kill myself to make this happen. I wonder if there was a bit of that. Because it was weird. And in fact, I am tempted to ask him, but I'm scared. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Chase KTM saga, has it been... I mean, I think it has, but has it been worse than the Webb KTM saga?
It's certainly gotten to that point. I think the difference is that, for some reason, the Webb KTM saga, played out more in real time. I know that the Chase thing, he's been pretty outspoken about it, but it feels like we get to a point where Chase, there's so many questions, and then he goes, oh yeah, 2 months ago I was having these issues. Whereas Webb would be yeah, right now I don't feel good. This is a problem, and this is a problem, and this is you know what I mean? So,
well, I think Webb has also helped because of the 2 titles. They just loom large in everyone's minds,
Well, Chase won a title on that KTM too, so.
I think, as of now, when someone says Webb and KTM, your first thought is for success.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe because it's so close, but as of right now, when people say Chase and KTM, I think everyone's first thought is the drama.
If Chase had won the Supercross title this year, I think it would flip. I think everyone would be he won 2 titles on it. I mean, I don't know. And he was 2 points away from winning 2 titles on it.
Oh, who can forget, Kellen? Just a heartbreaking scenario. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to ask with this is we've had so much discourse about the Prado thing and how much this is going to affect Kawasaki moving forward, the narrative that's going to be spun around what happens with Chase on that bike next year, what they need to do to turn it around from a PR standpoint. We really haven't maybe done enough to say KTM's got some problems of their own, and they're about to have to figure this out with Eli Tomac. Obviously, Aaron Plessinger has made that bike work to his level, but I still feel like there's maybe more question marks than we've given credit for what's going on there.
Yeah, I think we've all been a little bit dismissive because Chase, Tom, and Barsha, let's not forget, have all been quite forward with just telling us there's problems. And I feel like all of us have just kind of gone, yeah, sounds bad. Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have, I don't know. But what should we have done? Maybe we should have taken them at their word more? I don't know.
Well, I just think that we've been very hard on Cowie because of the Prado situation, and maybe that needs to start being the narrative we spin at KTM a little bit.
I think the difference is KTM do have results still.
Yeah.
Chase still won Washougal, and Tom won a championship, and AP had a great year, and Juju's been great, So, the KTM, and I think that's why a lot of people shrug their shoulders, is because, these comments about the bike and whatnot come out, and then Tom goes and wins the second moto, and we're like, oh, okay, well, weird, huh? You know, whereas Kawasaki has just consistently been in the mud for multiple years now.
But as you pointed out to us in the press box, like Jason Anderson probably doesn't give the credit he deserves for how well he's ridden that bike. Like we go back to Supercross, he was borderline a podium guy at the start of the year and stuff like that. And it's not the same success as KTM, but it's not like Cowie has had no results this year. Like they have had points in time where that bike did look every bit as good as it could be. So
in the last 91 450 races, Kawasaki has had 12 podiums.
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, I don't know how you can argue against that. And, you know, their last podium this year was Tampa.
Okay. But aside from that, do you not think that, okay, so KTM maybe has packed a little bit more star power than Cowie has over the past 3 or 4 years? I mean, we obviously know the struggles AC went through and everything like that. Anderson did almost win a title on this bike, but he is in the latter stages of his career to begin with. Like Chase is in his prime, and they had Cooper Webb in his prime, so maybe that's why it's a little different.
Also since Tampa, Kawasaki have had one top 5 in the 450 class.
Yeah.
That's even more. I wouldn't have even guessed that, because was there really not more top 5s in Supercross? Like, how did that happen?
Well, Jason Anderson pulled out of the series at round 11, and Tampa was round 5, so it wasn't like they had a ton more time. So,
but yeah,
anyway.
that also comes into it, like signing the star power, like that. You get credit for that.
Yeah,
because
you do.
Like that goes in your favor. Like that's part of a game. Because it's not like Kawasaki is a B-level team. Yeah, I don't know. I certainly don't think the KTM deserves as much flack as Kawasaki, but maybe they do just for different reasons. I think Kawasaki's is just an overall, what are you doing? Whereas I think KTM's is more, what is going on?
I think at this point, though, we have to say that if Eli starts struggling very quickly on that bike next year, of course we can say, yes, that's a marriage that we figured might have a little bit of turmoil at some point, but you can also start saying there's maybe more going on with KTM trying to figure out their stuff in the USA, because as you have mentioned before, they're not having as many of these similar problems in Europe. So they've clearly
they're having zero.
That's what they're clearly figuring something out over there that just isn't working here. I get it. There's production rules and different things that they're dealing with, but that seems odd.
Yeah, and for everyone that wants to talk about the weather, by my information, China was the hottest race that you can possibly have on Earth. And there were big jumps, and it was all very intense, and no one had a shock problem. In fact, KTM dominated both classes. So, yeah, and even Tom said in my interview, we know they are not having these problems in Europe. So, there you have it. And I heard that, or I know that in 2022, Tom was on the same shock. That he raced outdoors this year and last year and whatever else. So it's the same components. So
confusing.
Well, I think less so confusing, more so throwing your head into the side of a rig if you're Tom Vialle. I think that's where he's at, and I think Chase is right there with him. I think Tom is very ready to leave America and start a new project. And I think Chase is very ready to leave KTM and start a new project. And I think Barsha also. Like, I think those riders are so disillusioned with their current surroundings that change will be good, even if it is not, in fact, that attractive as we sit here right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy that this is what we're talking about, and Tom Vialle maybe rode the best race of his season in the second race, winning, holding off Shimoda, who admittedly was sick, but Vialle looked every good as we've ever expected him to be. So
yeah, and it wasn't just holding off, like he pulled away, like he had the field handled. But alas,
it is.
Vialle's going to be a big WSX guy moving forward, by the way.
Okay,
I think next year he's doing the full WSX series. That's what I hear. This year 2 rounds, but I think next year he's all in on WSX.
Well, red. Let's get into our third topic before we do that.
I can't wait for my apology. What will my apology look like when this deal's announced?
Personal handwritten note?
That would be a nice touch, but obviously the language needs to be quite. I want my flowers. Give me my flowers. Maybe a gift.
Maybe
A gift would be nice to go along with the handwritten letter, because let's not forget that Lewis Phillips made up Tom Vialle to Honda because he wanted attention. Let's not forget, made it up.
All right. Well, I'm going to steer the ship.
Maybe I made it up, and Tom Vialle saw my tweet and went, "You know what? He's made that up. It's not a bad idea, though. Let me reach out." Maybe that's how it happened.
I'm going to go ahead and steer the ship away from the rocks that we're heading towards right now and get us back on track for our third topic.
I'm like Deegs, Kellen. I was the one that was taken out, so I have nothing to lose. Like I can say whatever I want. I'm the winner because I was the victim.
Well, if you don't want to get taken out, you should head to racetech.com. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. From modern to vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. You can get your suspension serviced at one of their several centers across the US and even Europe. And speaking of Europe, let's head to our MXGP discussion of the week. We have one round left to go in MXGP coming up. It's the MXGP of Australia, the first time in, I don't even remember how long since we've gone down under, and it's going to be the final round of the championship. So basically what I wanted to do with this discussion is how does this go, Lewis? Like, is this going to be a staple on the calendar? I know the local government and stuff is a little bit involved, so that helps, but is this going to be a rousing success and everyone down in Australia is going to be like, we're bought in, MXGP can come here every year, or is this going to be another flyaway where the fans maybe aren't as invested?
The track looks sick. I'm into the track so far. It looks really good. Some elevation, dirt looks great. Cool jumps. Everyone in Australia is very angry that it's in Darwin. I don't know, but that doesn't seem to be a tourist hotspot that everyone's keen to fly to. So I don't know what the fan turnout will be like. But as of now, I think it looks like it's going to be quite good. And I wasn't a hater on China at all.
I'm not saying you were.
Okay, and landscape looked okay, and the fans were there, and well supported. The pits, there was a lot of activation going on in the pits. It was all very happening. So, yeah, sure.
Okay. What I did notice about China that I thought was interesting is the way that they had the grandstands set up, or the seat colors that they had or whatever. It looked as though there was a lot of people there. And then I had to freeze frame a shot from Saturday in the qualifying race where it looked like the grandstands were full. And when I freeze framed it, I realized they were actually empty. So like, they must have done that strategically where it made it look a little bit better than the reality. But I mean, I'm not against it either. I think that it's cool that they go there. The track looked kind of interesting. So whatever, but kind of weird.
That's the Chinese for you, Kellen. They're one step ahead, constantly fooling us. They're pesky. You got to keep your eye on them because otherwise they pull stunts like this.
Not where I was going with that. But
sorry.
Anyway,
pesky buggers.
Anyway,
I'm
the
sure
season
Dan turned up at the GP and went, "Wow, great attendance," and then looked closer and went, "You bugger!" Wagged his finger. I knew you were going to pull a stunt like this, you pesky bugger.
The season ending in Australia, though, to me, not great. I wish it would either, like, they would get all the flyaways done at the start of the year like they do with Argentina and everything, or I just think that the MXGP season needs to end in Europe. Like, to some degree, have the biggest race of the year at the end. Whatever track it is, I don't know, but it just feels a little bit weird that we're spending so much time of the season in Europe and then we end at a flyaway.
Well, following the lead of the pesky Chinese, very smart of Dan to take the finale to Europe last year, but take it to maybe the worst European track that we have ever had in Kozar, to be like, you all wanted this, here you fucking go. So he played that stunt brilliantly, much like the Chinese. I don't know F1 has left Europe now. So what is it about these championships? Like, why does F1 do it? I don't know. What is the reason for leaving Europe and ending the season abroad?
F1 does it because Abu Dhabi paid a shit ton of money.
No, but I mean, it's not just Abu Dhabi, is it? Like, F1 has left Europe already now. Like, the next 8 races are all outside of Europe. Like, Europe is just the middle of the calendar, much like MXGP.
But I think that they do that because they do look at it more as like, we are a global presence and so on and so forth. But I don't know, like, to me, again, I just think that Europe is where MXGP is. Everyone looks at it as a European series for the most part, and it's great to have these flyaway races to make it a world championship and stuff like that, but why not have it end at a place where everybody that loves the sport can go watch? Like, there's 2 championships on the line, and if you are a big follower of the series, which most of the whole of Europe is, you have to fly all the way across the world to go watch these championships decided.
Yeah, but then if you're Australian, you have to fly all the way to Europe. What about the pesky Chinese? They'll find a way. They always find a way. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I want to know why F1 starts and ends outside of Europe, because that's what MXGP does. So there must be some sort of rhyme or reason.
I guess maybe just to get the swing of Europe done in the summertime when you're less likely to get affected by weather. And then
I honestly think that is it.
Yeah.
But then it makes more sense. Obviously, F1 goes into November and December. So obviously you don't want to be racing in Europe at that point. But September is fine. Like, we can do a September GP in Europe. So yeah, I don't know. But I do think that MXGP has to visit these places, because much like people slam SMX for being a world championship that doesn't leave America, if MXGP did just stay in Europe, people would start going, oh, a world championship? I mean, people already say that, to be honest, because the favourite line is, oh, well, the best riders are in America. But yeah, I feel like you have to have these races. They just need to be the successful ones, not the what ones have been bad. I can't even think of a bad flyaway. Why am I struggling?
I don't know.
Oh, Turkey? Let's use Turkey.
I thought you said it's not a flyaway.
What? For the sake of this argument, I can't think of another bad one.
All right. Well, either way, I mean, I hope it goes well. Championships seem to be relatively decided. Obviously, 450s pretty much are. Fevre's got 47 on Koonin, but 250s, I don't know. Maybe shenanigans? Question mark.
I think the 250s will be decided in the qualifying race, because I think if Simon puts points on Kai in the qualifying race, it's over. But if Kai can get closer in the qualifying race, then it's on for Sunday. So I think the qualifying race looms large for MX2.
Are you surprised at all? And granted, I know that he had like the slimmest hope of still winning the world title when this was happening, but that Adamo tried so hard to beat Langenfelder in the second moto.
No, Adamo and Langenfelder don't get on, by the way.
But I mean, KTM, like, you know, I get it. They're going to win regardless whether it's Husky or KTM, but it just, from a brand standpoint for KTM, it was a non-championship contending KTM, quote unquote, beating the championship leader with 3 motos to go. So
yeah. Well, you could say the same. Oh, you could say the same about Lucas Koonin and
Hurlings.
Yeah, but Hurlings has just robbed Koonin of points here.
But Adamo's trying to get a KTM ride next year, is he not? I don't think Hurlings is on that point anymore.
Yeah, I think Langenfelder and Adamo are going to be teammates next year as well.
Yeah, so there you go. Have fun.
I don't know why they don't like each other. I think Adamo, I don't know why they don't like each other.
Well,
but just everyone needs to remember that I've been touting Simon as a champion for years. This is very much a Lewis championship.
Half the GP wins.
What? Oh,
last year you said he'd win half the GPs, so
yeah,
it really worked out. Yeah. No, it'll be fun. Going to be interesting to see what happens down under this weekend. And all right, that's the end of the first half of the show. Let me tell you about Namura. Namura Technologies has been a trusted
Kellen
name in performance engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 20 years. From complete rebuilds to high-performance upgrades, Namura delivers precision-engineered parts built to perform under pressure. Their expanding lineup includes cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and cylinder kits, all designed to meet or exceed OEM specifications. You can find full product details and application coverage at Namura.com. Big Lou has disappeared from screen. Welcome back.
Hi. Oh, yeah, I thought it was an intermission. We do that now, don't we?
Yep.
Hi, I'm back. What did I miss?
Oh, well, just telling the fine folks at home about Namura.
Well, let me tell the fine folks at home about St. Louis. What an event. First of all, everyone's very critical of the racing and the track and whatnot. I think that what we have learned in the past and what St. Louis reinforced is that actually we have zero control over the racing. There's nothing the Feld can do. Ultimately, if the best rider gets a bad start, you're going to have good racing. And that's about the lot of it. Because as much as everyone wants to slam St. Louis for the bad racing in 250 Moto 1 and 450 Moto 2, the other races were great. And why? Because the best rider didn't get out front. And if you look at the best supercrosses, are they led by track design or are they led by location or dirt or any of that? Nope. They are led by the starting order and who was feeling fast on that night. So I don't know if you can control that. And therefore, I feel like St. Louis doesn't deserve to be slammed in the way that it is online.
Okay. Well, I will rebuke that by simply saying if you watch that first race back, there were some fast guys that started back, and it looked tough to pass. Like even Thrasher, who ended up passing 11 guys from whole shot line to the checkered flag. Every pass that he made, except when Vialle waved him by, looked to be rather aggressive. So I think that's why there's the flack for it, is because it just didn't look like there was any really good passing places on the track.
Yeah, but I think that's besides the point. Because Jet made places to make passes. He made a shit ton of them. And ultimately, if Jet had started out front in Moto 1, it would have been terrible. And we would have all said, oh, what a boring race. That's my point. Not so much the passing opportunities, but more so the fact that we had a great race because of the way the race started. And I used this example on the Vital MX post-race show. San Diego will arguably be the most iconic race of 2025. But actually, the reason why wasn't because of anything Feld did. It was because Jet Lawrence and Eli Tomac started in the pack and had to come forward. If that had shaken out differently and Tomac had started 10th and Jet had started 4th, completely different scenario. No one's talking about that race because Jet probably takes the lead on lap 7 and takes off. Like, that is, and I think that's true of all motorsports. Hangtown last year, oh, what a great race. Yeah, Chase was the best rider and he started last. If Chase had whole shot that moto, no one's talking about Hangtown 2025. I'm trying to think of an F1 example, but I can't because I don't know F1 that well. But I do think this is true of every motorsport. If Max Verstappen starts on pole, not this year, but in past years, when Max Verstappen started on pole, wasn't going to be a banger of a race, no matter what the track was. Those random Monza races where Gasly and Ricciardo won, because of crashes and red flags and everything that manufactured surprises and iconic moments. Ultimately, if a race runs and it runs in the way that everyone expects, i.e. the best rider does what the best rider should, you're going to get a boring race. That is my take.
Okay. I mean, it's a fair take for sure because that is the reality for some of the best races of all time, 90% of the time. But I will say, in regards to like SMX and the way that they lay out the track and everything like that, generally speaking, it does make things a little bit closer. There's not as much separators. There's no whoops and everything like that. And I do think that someday in SMX, if we continue with this kind of format and the way that they lay out the tracks and everything like that, we are going to get a situation where the top 2 or 3 in the race or whatever are so closely matched that there's no separation and they spend almost the entire race on each other, battling each other. Because if you go back to some of the greatest races from, let's say, the Carmichael and Stewart days, Stewart was arguably maybe a little bit faster than Carmichael. Carmichael had better racecraft, so they ended up having great races a lot. But they would start together, and they would be so close in speed the entire race that the races ended up being fantastic almost all the time. And I think with SMX, we can have that recipe if Eli or Chase or whatever just happen to be as good as Jet or very close to as good as Jet on a night where they can start with him and run with him the entire race.
The second 450 moto is a good example of this because Jet, Eli, Chase, and Hunter all started together. The recipe of a great race, but Jet was first. So it was kaput. If that group had all started where they did, but Jet was 4th instead of 1st, probably would have been an incredible race and an iconic moment. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think St. Louis doesn't deserve the flack that it's getting. I thought it was cool. Although I would have liked more, I liked the visual of the guys going outside of the stadium. It looked cool. I don't know why we can't do that for Supercross more often. Mulch, did it do anything? No, but it looked cool and it added a bit of spice to proceedings. Can we do that in Supercross? Why not? Let's bring mulch in like we have sand. Let's have a mulch rhythm section. That'd be fucking awesome. Yeah, cool. I liked it. I didn't think it was bad at all. I think the criticism is unjust.
No, I like the track too. I just
Well,
think
I'm not really saying the track. I'm more just saying the entire event.
Well, the entire event, yeah. I mean, again, as we go back to what I said at the beginning of the show, I really wish that the finale was in a stadium too, because the entire show, the product of it all looks better, looks grander when you have it be inside of a stadium where it's a true night show, the pyrotechnics and all that stuff like that. I feel like these drag strips just don't do it for me. Maybe that's a different opinion for the riders and other fans and stuff like that, but St. Louis felt like, okay, we're in the playoffs. Like, this is a big deal. Like, the fans are into it. It's loud here. There wasn't that many fans, but it still seemed like they were very into it, and it just felt like more at stake.
Yes, I will go on record as saying that as it stands right now, I think that the Vegas race is my least favourite of the season, just because of optics and surroundings, and I honestly have a real bad taste in my mouth about it. I will go in this weekend open-minded, or try to, but as of now, yeah, I just don't really... I don't know what it is about it, but something about it I really dislike.
I mean, I just don't think that it... First of all, I just don't think that the track last year really provided great racing in Vegas, as most drag strips are starting to prove a little bit that they just don't. And on top of that, like, they had one large grandstand and one small grandstand, and granted, it's full. It looks a little bit, aesthetically pleasing because you fill out the grandstands, but there's not that many fans there. Like, and half the track they really can't see because it's going around the backside of the stadium and all this stuff like that, and they have to bring in big screens that they hang on cranes instead of using these cool big stadium big screens and stuff like that. I don't know. I just think that they have to find a way, in my opinion, at least for the finals, to go inside of some big venue that can host this thing.
Controversial. Those pesky buggers in China. Is that not what MXGP... Oh, sorry. Is that not what SMX could be? A pop-up event. They brought in the grandstands. Relatively small footprint. Add a rhythm section to that track. Could that not be SMX?
I'll hit back on that because, again, that just takes away the entire show of it to me. Like,
I don't know, because if you're building it, like, the footprint of that venue or the circuit was so small that would it not be quite... I'd imagine it would feel quite stadium-esque. You're effectively building a stadium. I mean, ultimately... I will have a story coming out this week about this, but Fell did try to put the St. Louis venue into an amphitheater, or the spot on the calendar. They were trying to go to an amphitheater. I don't know how that would have looked. They also said they want to do beachfronts and do a pop-up event. Like, we will bring the grandstands, we will bring all of that, and make an SMX venue. So, in that vein, I think China was kind of that. Slightly different layout, and you've got an SMX event.
Yeah, I don't know. I still just stand with that. It needs to be in some sort of stadium. Like, I think all the excitement level, you and my opinion of this both, I think we would agree. If Sam Boyd Stadium could still host an event and we were going there this weekend, we're going to fill out the stadium. We get to sit up in a press box and actually see the entire damn track would also be great. But also the fact that, like, they could still go out of the stadium there, have some outdoorsy sections, and then have like a proper good SMX track inside of it. I think it would be a better show. I personally do. They can't go there. That stadium's not operable anymore. But I think that is proof of why we need to go to some type of stadium like that if we're going to end this thing on a high note.
Yeah, ultimately, it comes down to this. I wrote an article on Friday that said, for all that we want SMX to be, you cannot replicate the show value of Supercross. And if you're combining Supercross and Motocross, the biggest thing you want from Supercross is the show element. And you can only get that in a stadium. So I think that's what you want from Supercross. Because ultimately, controversial maybe, a Motocross event pales in comparison to the buzz and the excitement of a Supercross. It just does. Pre-race hype, pre-race show, fanfare, it's all magnified in a stadium. And you lose that as soon as you head even to a stadium environment a la a drag strip.
I have to agree. I do. Like, I like motocross, but Supercross kills it with the show value. And you're right. If they need to pull anything from one half of this show, the Supercross side of it needs to take over the show aspect of it. And I think that we need to be in a stadium to end this thing. So I don't know.
With all due respect, I like Steve Mathis. Great guy. His idea of going to High Point and adding a rhythm section may be up there with one of the worst takes he's ever had.
All
Fair?
right. Well, I think that like even Hammaker said something to this effect on Friday in the press conference of like, maybe we started a motocross track and then like a true Supercross track for round 2 and then some hybrid for round 3. Like I could see that working. I could see that being the reality. So I'm not totally out on that.
No, yeah, going to a motocross track, sure. But going to a motocross track and saying this is SMX and adding a rhythm section, no, I'm out.
Okay. All right.
I would be you'd have to drag me there kicking and screaming, I think. I like Charlotte still. I'm on record as that. I like Charlotte.
Oh, it's a cool city. It's a cool place to go and all that stuff. I just personally do not like the racetrack that they build there. So that leaves a sour taste in my mouth a little bit, I think. But what are you going to do?
Now that we've gone to St. Louis, I do feel like it's time to lean on the original and not still best SMX race in 2016. Because that was a motocross track in a stadium.
Yeah, it was. And honestly, somehow, some way, it actually kind of produced some interesting racing.
Yep. But because, Kellen, as I was trying to show you and Steve in the press box, but you just looked at me like I was a fucking idiot, because they had sand that was so much deeper and grabbier than the American Supercross sand that it literally made a Lommel section.
Well, clearly the best passing opportunity, if that's what you want to call it, this weekend was the sand by the end of this whole thing. So
I think we need that sand. I don't know if we can ship it from Germany or obviously Germany, known for its sand. We'll fight them on the beaches. Maybe it was that sand. Was that accurate?
What? Like,
did I just do a World War II reference?
Yeah, but they didn't land in Germany, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give myself that one. Personal growth, that is. No, we need that. Like, the sand section was the defining moment of this St. Louis track, but let's turn that sand into a straightaway. Like, not a rhythm section like Tampa, like a just straightaway with a wall like they had in Germany, and then into another deep sand tight turn. Because also, I'm trying to think, all of our sand turns do tend to be sweepers. In Germany, the second sand turn was a tight 180, basically a direct U-turn.
I think they do that because Supercross has had experience of doing 180-degree sand corners, and it always turns into a one-line disaster.
Yeah,
I don't know how or why.
How did they make it work in Germany?
I think they had like an outside wall, didn't they? Like that you could get, if you got all the way out there, you actually hit some good traction and kind of banked back across. But if you went inside, you had to dig out the same deep rut over and over again.
Yeah, I don't know. I encourage everyone to watch the highlights on YouTube from just type in SMX Veltins Arena or SMX MXGP TV, because now with
2016 SMX, it would come up.
Well, to be honest, I had struggles. I searched 2016 SMX and I just got St. Louis stuff. So, but I do encourage everyone to watch the highlights, because with the knowledge of what we had in St. Louis, it's actually much more interesting now to look at it and, you know, perceive it in a different light.
Agreed.
Anyway.
Let me tell you guys about Partzilla. Partzilla.com is the premier OEM parts dealer and distributor. They sell OEM parts for Honda, Kawasaki, Polaris, Can-Am, Suzuki, Arctic Cat, Sea-Doo, and Yamaha motorcycles, ATVs, PWCs, and snowmobiles. Visit Partzilla.com to see their extensive line of parts and accessories. And as of 2 rounds into this championship, Mitchell Harrison sits 18th in 450s, and Hunter Yoder, who made it in this weekend, now 25th in standings in 250s for the Partzilla Blaster Power PRMX race team.
Yep. I wasn't listening.
For them.
Yep. I saw Hunter Yoder and Mitchell Harrison crash in exactly the same corner.
Okay. You think they had a debrief after the race about that?
I also did some deep Partzilla PRMX negotiations this weekend. Sold a rider on the team. Told him some things to put in the contract. Really just helped out.
Well,
So
since you were over at the PRMX tent a lot this weekend, did you see the specialty graphics they had?
I don't know what PRMX are doing, but do they not have specialty graphics every single week?
Yeah, pretty much. But did you see what it was this weekend?
No, I've lost track of. I don't know what.
Sad.
The numbers were weird. That's all I kind of took from it. What was it?
Is it an homage to the St. Louis Rams that no longer play there, where they used to play from 95 to 2016, something like that?
Yeah, I wouldn't have picked up on that, Kellen.
I know you and your American football. You're tight.
Yep. We'll fight them on the beaches.
Okay.
Pesky Chinese. That's what we got from this episode. Not much
I
else.
definitely cannot use that as our show title, though.
The buggers. Sure, Dan got them in a headlock. Roughhouse their hair. You bugger. You made me think the grandstands were full. Yeah, good. Well done to everyone.
All right, what's your next topic, Lewis?
I don't know if I've got one, to be honest.
Would you like me to bring another one to the table?
Oh, what have you got? I don't know if I've got anything interesting. What have you got?
You can veto this one if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
What does Thai Masterpool do?
Oh, fucking hell. I'd rather talk about we'll fight them on the beaches.
He just got fourth in St. Louis on SMX, half Supercross track. You know, we didn't see him much in Supercross, but he doesn't have a ride next year, so where do we go?
You reap what you sow. And when you sow utter chaos, you end up in this situation. He did great in St. Louis. I feel like that doesn't even move the needle of fixing his situation.
No, it doesn't. But, I mean, if you're a team that's looking for talent right now and he's maybe the best available, question mark, right? Like,
yeah,
you have to give it a look, right? If you're AEO or Solitaire or someone, I don't know, anything.
Yeah, Solitaire, sure.
Bar X.
I think even Bar X is of too high a stature. Like, what, at the end of the day, how can you get... It's difficult, because how can you get yourself motivated to go racing as a team, knowing that the chances of things just being fucking weird are so high?
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing because, look, okay, so the inside stories behind this is that Thai Masterpool is obviously very talented and can go win races, borderline, but also he just kind of falls off the face of the earth and then doesn't show up and other things like that, and doesn't seem to have very good communication with the teams that he's on about what's happening and when he's going to race next and yada, yada, yada. So that's the most confusing part about this, because it seems like if it was just like better communication all around, he could have saved himself some headaches about trying to figure out what's going to happen in his career at this point.
Yeah, like even the story is that when he came back for outdoors, he just messaged Mitch for Tuesday before the race and was like, I'm ready. And Mitch was like, yeah, we're not. You could have told us. Like, you know, like those things get around. And if a team like Pro Circuit is fighting that, a lesser team with less staff and therefore worse organization is really going to struggle. But then ultimately, obviously, the argument is he can get you much better results than insert rider here. But then what are the chances of that? Because it's not like his results are so consistent that you can bank on him succeeding. Like, ultimately, if you pull up his results from his career, the good showings are few and far between and certainly not regular enough for you to bank on. Like, I'm just going to put it up here. So obviously two outdoor, talking outdoor only, of course, because Supercross is basically insignificant. The last 2 years on Pro Circuit, this is what we've had. 15, 8, 7, 1, 8, 2, 8, 12, 8, 10, 6. And then this year, 10, 8, 9, 13, 9, out, 13, 6. Like, as far as a Pro Circuit rider goes, that record isn't good.
No.
Especially for an outdoor specialist. You want me to go Supercross? We can go Supercross. Please hold.
But I've also heard that people are not dismissive of what he could do on a 450 either. You don't maybe look at the Supercross stuff because his 450 Supercross results have been, okay, yeah, maybe all right. And then outdoors that one year, it was like, holy crap, he's battling with every factory guy on the track. So they've also looked at that too as like maybe things could turn around and we get him on a bike he's comfortable with in 450s, and then bam, here we go. So yeah. But I've also heard another problem that lies with all this. I have heard he does not want to train outside of Texas. He wants to train at his own facility. That's it. So if you're, let's say Club wants to take a shot at Thai Masterpool. Well, can't get him at their facility, which is exactly what their entire process is. So they're out. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of hindering him at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to hinder him. But his Supercross results, across 250 and 450 classes, raced 10 main events. And in those, he has had 2 top 15 finishes. The last top 15 finish coming at round 14 in 2021. So, yeah. Catch the fever.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I would love to see what the selling is of that to 18. Because if you're a team and you go, okay, so this is what you've done, like, how do you go, well, no, but this is going to be different, you know?
Well, I just think that really any of these teams, they just look at it and they go, well, you know, we can work with speed somehow, some way. He finds ways to win races too. Not only just be fast, but can win races on his day. And then do we just deal with all the other stuff going on behind that and hope that every once in a while it hits? Like if you're a team that just wants to get your name kind of in the fray every once in a while, I mean, shoot, if he delivers a top 5 for you on a 450, suddenly you're a massive talking point. So
yeah, but I'm also reluctant to put too much stock into that one outdoor season, 2023, where he had good results, because that was such a weak field. It was,
but then
arguably the weakest field we've ever had in 450.
Does he not on a 450? If you just have him be comfortable and himself on a 450, does he not run with Gio, Shock?
Yeah, sure. But
so
Gio's
then you're
also struggling to get a ride.
I understand that, but I'm saying we're talking about him, and we talked a lot about Shock 450 outdoors too, and these types of guys. And if you're again, just insert team that doesn't get talked about enough, it's tantalizing to take that opportunity and just hope that it works out, because suddenly your team is a talking point.
Every time I hear the word tantalizing, I think of Aaron Tanti.
Okay.
Don't know why. Like, even then, my mind just immediately went to Aaron Tanti. Like, oh, is he going to talk about Tanti now?
Yeah. Maybe they all go sign Aaron Tanti. It's that tantalizing.
So now I need to get a job doing the PR for his team so that I can write Aaron tantalizingly close to victory in insert name here.
Yeah, but you can only use that one time, and then if you use it again, it just...
Yeah, I'll quit after I've used the headline once.
I'll quit.
Yeah. I'll quit and I'll go and fight them on the beaches.
Well, Ty did tell me post-race, I don't know if you talked to him, he said that he feels maybe the best he has getting ready for 2026. Like, he thinks that he can be amazing next year, which it's Ty. He says stuff like this a lot.
You can't say that when we're still in the 2025 season.
I'm just telling you, that's what he said. So
it's too early to say that when you haven't started preparing for 2026 Like, that is insane.
He's saying that 100% because he's trying to, like, tell teams, I'm ready. I'm here. Let's go. You know, like, so I don't know, man.
I'm going to ask every single rider this weekend, how do you feel your prep for 2026 is going?
He did, but I didn't ask him, how's your prep for 2026? He just brought it up.
I'm going to do a compilation of every single rider looking at me like I'm mental.
Yeah.
No, that's mental. You can't say that. That doesn't count. Like, you may as well go, yeah, I'm really feeling strong heading into 2027. What? Oh, no. Right now I feel strong, so I'm thinking 2026 will be a strong building year, and then 2027 I can really feel it. Really feel it.
Yeah.
You can't say that. That doesn't count.
Do you think he's on the gate in 2026 like at Anaheim?
No.
Yeah. I'm kind of leaning no, too.
My bet is you see him at one random Supercross. It goes terribly. He disappears again. Then he turns up at Fox Raceway.
You know what I think he should do? Because I think it would work and raise his stock. Sign with a team in Canada and go win a Canadian national championship.
You cannot bank on him finding his way to Canada for 10 times a year or whatever, however many rounds they have.
Phil did it.
Yeah, I have a lot more faith in Phil's organization and communication skills. There's no way
I
you can.
I like
that
Thai.
is far too risky. So do I. You could maybe 2026 is it. Maybe it's time, but maybe not.
Maybe. Well, you got another topic? Or are we out of here with 5?
No, not to talk bad about you, Kellen. And I don't know if I want to put this all on you. I felt great when I started this podcast. Now I feel quite ill. I've got a headache. I don't know if it's you. I don't know if it's a comment on the LVK show. But yeah, don't know. Maybe
I feel happy that I got to talk to my friend again because as you and I both know, I'm not really going to go to many more races this year. So
well, you're done. Aren't you? What else would you be going to?
I don't know. I still might go to Vegas. I'm not totally,
honestly. Why
totally
would
out,
you?
so.
Like honestly, I wouldn't if I was you.
I want to go to Chiz's party, man.
Come on. With all due respect, you know what? Come on. No, no press box. You can't even see anything.
No.
Like what? What is the like? And you're not going to be doing interviews because who would you like? There's no point, Kellen. Just sit back, watch it on TV, and work from that angle.
All right, maybe I will. No other topics though. We're done at 5.
Yeah, I can't think of anything
5.
that would be of value to the audience. Although we haven't done a non-moto in a long time. Okay. Educational Corner. The only moto podcast where you learn something new. So, to my surprise, I'm in a St. Louis mall. The St. Louis Galleria, it was called. Very impressive architecture. It's a very impressive location. I was very impressed. I see a bread company called St. Louis Bread. Same logo as Panera Bread. Same colours. And I'm like, that is definitely a Panera Bread, but why is it called St. Louis Bread? And I thought, you know what? It's my duty as a journalist to get to the bottom of this. So did you know that Panera Bread originated in St. Louis and was called St. Louis Bread? And when it went nationwide, they decided that St. Louis Bread really wouldn't latch on. So they changed the name everywhere except for St. Louis.
Wow. Even St. Louis knows that calling themselves St. Louis is a bad idea.
I don't get the hate on St. Louis. I felt perfectly safe. Someone at the airport told me that when I park my car, I should leave the windows down and the car unlocked because they're going to break into it anyway. So that way they'll do it without damaging the rental car, which admittedly isn't a glowing review of the city. But my car wasn't broken into. I felt safe. Spoke to the locals, got the beat of the heart of the city. It's great.
What I will say, and we talked about this in the press box, I think, the city felt oddly empty all weekend long for me. I didn't do much walking around the town, but leaving the stadium Friday during rush hour traffic, I sat in no traffic. Coming in Friday during rush hour traffic, I sat in no traffic. There didn't seem to be that many people anywhere. There wasn't that many people that came to the race as we maybe had expected there would be. So, yeah, I don't know what it is about that city now, but it just doesn't seem like a hub of any kind.
I thought it was great. I reckon we should make it the heart of SMX.
But yeah, I did not have any problems. My rental car did not get broken into. Yes, the areas around the city do look a little rough, but a lot of cities look like that too. So
I think that I probably was safer than everyone else because obviously they look at me and they think street, and they're not going to mess with that. Like I blend in a lot more than anyone. Probably 95%.
Maybe it's your shoes. Your shoes make you look like you fit right in with that crowd.
Yeah, they look at me and they're like, well, he may be part of a rival gang, so we better leave him alone because we don't want a turf war.
Yeah.
I had something about drug dealers as well for this episode, but I've forgotten it. I meant to write it down.
Was it about teams?
No, but we did didn't we have a very productive. We had a very productive conversation, Kellen, in the pits in St. Louis about how cleaning money would be ideal if you ran a race team because you can make up the contracts about what a sponsor's paying. Like you can just say, hey, this dealership just paid us 200 grand cash, and you can clean it.
I think that probably happens more than you think.
I know of MXGP teams where it's happened. Everyone has heard about Ryan Racing. Some teams from the 2000s, a well-known British team, I think was quite involved in this. but I'm not familiar with any in America. But great opportunity. And, you know, we're always trying to reach new audiences. So those with dirty money, we can help you. Maybe we should put that on a banner somewhere. I mean, maybe we should have gone out into St. Louis's streets with a clipboard and, you know, sent Dave Mewey, the senior president of partnerships at Feld Entertainment, suited up, briefcase. He could have approached some people in the St. Louis streets and said, "Hey, you look like a man who's got some dirty money that needs to be cleaned."
Well, I think there was a team that ceased operations in 2020 and left a man retired that may
left a man retired. Oh,
yeah, I'm not going to divulge that. So.
Well, I think everyone's just figured that out. But yeah, so we really, like, you know, businessmen that we are, we had a really productive business conversation in the pits.
Yeah. Business.
There's something else about drug dealers, though, but I've forgotten it.
I have multiple thoughts about drug dealers.
Yeah, I did. Because I had like 4 different conversations about drug dealers for some reason. Fuck, who was it? Who was I talking to? And we agreed that...
Well, if you bring who you were talking to into this, I don't think it's going to help your cause at all.
I can't remember. It was a funny conversation. I was like, I must remember this for LVK.
Oh, sad. Can't remember it though.
No, but we did get St. Louis bread and clean dirty money in, so, you know, we've helped to a degree.
Did St. Louis bread? Did you end up eating?
No, I don't like Panera bread because Panera bread changed their menu like a year ago and just made it fucking terrible.
Well, never mind. I was going to ask if it tasted similar.
No, dislike button for me on Panera bread. What I do like is Einstein Bros bagels.
Oh, those are good. We've found that you like yourself a good bagel with cream cheese.
That's my breakfast of choice when I'm at the races. There's a good bagel company.
You don't like a good beans on toast?
No, I don't like beans.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't like stuff on my toast apart from butter. I'll just keep it away.
Well, beans on toast is ridiculous to me, but I'm not British, so.
I'm racking my brains for other stuff that happened at the weekend. Max Anstey wants to start a podcast with me. Who's got the time? Like, imagine, I mean, I guess I could start it and I could just do the intro and then just walk off.
Tell him to join ours. We can make it LMK.
Let me know. Oh my God. That's an incredible podcast. The LMK podcast. Let me know. We're letting you know.
There you go. Tell him to join.
We need an M. If it's not Max, if your name is M, we don't really care about your podcasting ability. We just want to use you for your name.
Well, I happen to know Max that might be sat for a little bit. So
hold on. We're rebranding LVK. We call it LMK. Lewis meets Kellen. That's literally what this podcast is. We're meeting online.
Okay.
And then it's welcome to LMK, where we're letting you know. We're letting you know. We're letting me know. You may be joining this podcast and thinking, "Hey guys, let me know what happened in St. Louis over the weekend," and that's what we're here to do on the LMK podcast. Welcome to another episode.
Lovely. I think that, I don't know. Should we ask for more money so we can sign Max on?
Well, no, we don't need him. The M is meats.
I mean, if we could.
Yeah, no, we've just figured it out.
Insight from the riders.
Huh?
Insight from the riders weekly.
No, we don't need that. We just needed the name. We've just figured it out. But yeah, he wants to start a podcast, and I don't really know what he wants it to be.
I think Max could start his own podcast, and it'd just be himself.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, who's got the time? Went for dinner with him, Weege, and Brayton on Thursday. It's not going to surprise you to know it was a long dinner.
I was going to say, what was the time frame of dinner?
Yeah, it was a long dinner. And 89% of the words came from Max. We went through the whole, like, how he ended up in America. Somehow he just managed to be like, you know what? These guys maybe don't know how I got here, so let me just explain it to them. No, I like Max. Good for him.
You're such a dick to your friend. That's rude.
I really am such a... But that's how I've told you. This is how you... If you ever wonder, does Lewis like me? If I'm nice to you, I probably don't. If I'm a dick to you, then I like you.
All right. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff on the LVK More Than Moto podcast, brought to you by Leatt this week. Yeah, I guess I will not see you in Las Vegas. Sad, maybe not sad.
Are you definitely not going to the Nations?
Definitely not going to Nations.
Yeah, well, a lot of people who I know aren't going to the Nations, so I guess you're just joining a long list.
Honestly, I'm, like a lot of people I talk to in the pits at SMX are like, why? Why would I go?
Oh, well, I more meant Hurlings and Watson, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, your friends, your buddies. Hey, at this point, things are trending in a negative direction. Is Chase even still going to go?
If Chase doesn't go, I'm out. Like, what, really? Because then at that point, I'm just going for Sewer and Jonas, and one of those men is severely depressed.
Should we play guessing game which one it is?
Which one? Well, just look at the results.
One of them got a top 10 this weekend, the other didn't. So
no, it'd be great. Look forward to it.
all right. Well, we look forward to debating what happens at this finale coming up in Las Vegas next week on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks to Leatt, Namura, Racetech, and Partzilla. We'll see you guys next week.